The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, the 20th of August. Yeah, episode. Oh, wow, usually it's right up here. We're doing things different today. Oh, episode 123. Wow, here on NOK Network. The video news podcast focus on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys in Dead Ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for this awesome intro track. Originally recorded by the Moody Blues with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by amazing joint host, Sarah Simpson, along with the one and only Bufo Alverius, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Hello, Sarah.
Well, hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. Great to be back after another fantastic weekend. We did get some rain here, but overall, it was summer weather, right? That's what you deal with in the summer here. And my chickens stayed all nice and dry because I gave them a nice rain shelter. So they're super happy chickens right now. So I'd like to take a minute to introduce Bufo. He's our Sonoran desert toad or Colorado mud toad. Did you know he emits DMT from his skin? And while that sounds like great fun, park rangers would like to remind everyone, please don't lick that toad.
Right. So you had a great time, huh? Great weekend. It's already Tuesday now, and
I know the week just flies by Tuesday to Tuesday, and I kind of consider Monday part of my weekend, right? So technically, my weekend ends Tuesday morning, I guess.
So do you do psychedelics on the weekend? Is that just a daily thing?
So I do a lot of microdosing through the week, but the odd time when I've got some downtime and I don't have to go anywhere, I tend to do a little higher dose of some psychedelic mushrooms. But for the most part, I'm just a microdoser. I like my microdosing LSD. Daytime, it seems to help me focus and get going and keep things in check. And, you know, the psychedelic microdose mushrooms seem to help me with my sleep and keep my migraines at bay. And overall, I just feel good. I can't complain. They're the best medicines that I have in my toolkit.
I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you say that because Bufo's right off the bat hits us with a freaking good article about DMT. And I love it because neither of us are big DMT people, but I mean, there are people on the network that use it for medication.
Absolutely. Our one and only Kim Cooper has had a few experiences with DMT, and she has found it very beneficial to her.
Right, and this one comes from SciPost.org, and this is written by Vladimir Hedrick, and it's researchers discover how DMT alters visual cortex to create psychedelic visuals.
Yeah, a new neuroimaging study has revealed how the powerful psychedelic N-D-tryptamine, commonly known as DMT, alters the brain's primary visual cortex, potentially explaining the intense visual distortions experienced by users. The findings, published in Neuroimage, suggest that DMT may significantly modify how visual information is processed in the brain, leading to a phenomena such as blurred vision, tunnel vision, and the perception of expanded visual space. DMT is a naturally occurring compound found in various plants and is known for producing brief but intense hallucinatory experiences. These experiences often involve vivid and somewhat overwhelming visual and auditory sensations. DMT belongs to the tryptamine class of psychedelics, which includes substances like psilocybin, the active compound in magic mushrooms, and 5-MeO-DMT. These compounds are chemically similar to serotonin, a neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in regulating mood, perception, and cognition. For centuries, cultures in South America have used DMT containing plants in spiritual and religious rituals, most notably the preparation of ayahuasca, a traditional psychoactive brew. In recent years, the scientific community has also become increasingly interested in these substances, not only for their ability to alter consciousness, but also for their potential therapeutic benefits. Psychedelics, like DMT, are being studied for their efficacy in treating mental health conditions such as depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and anxiety.
Wow, the study led by Marta Lapo-Payas and her colleagues aimed to explore how DMT affects the primary visual cortex, the area of the brain responsible for processing visual information. Specifically, the researchers wanted to test whether DMT alters the behavior of neurons in this region by changing their population receptive field. Population receptive fields refer to the specific area of the visual field that groups of neurons respond to. Under normal conditions, each cluster of neurons in the primary visual cortex is tuned to a particular area of the visual field. The researchers hypothesized that DMT might cause their population receptive fields to expand or shift, leading neurons to respond to larger areas to the visual field or to areas they wouldn't normally respond to. This alteration could explain the visual distortions reported by DMT users, such as blurring peripheral vision while central vision remains sharp, a phenomenon often described as tunnel vision. To test this hypothesis, the researchers conducted a study with 11 healthy participants, including 4 women with an average age of 37 years. These participants had experience with altered states of consciousness, particularly with DMT inhalation. Each participant underwent 2 neuroimaging sessions spaced several weeks apart. Wow.
Wow, eh? So during one session, the active treatment session, participants inhaled DMT extracted from the bark of the Mimosa hostilis beneth, a tree native to South and Central America, known for its high DMT content. The other session served as a control, where no DMT was administered. In the active treatment session, participants inhaled between 50 and 70 milligrams of the substance containing approximately 31% DMT. Magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, was performed immediately after inhalation, capturing the peak effects of the drug. The imaging focused on the primary visual cortex, and the participants viewed a video of 2 pendicular bars moving in specific patterns designed by the researchers. After the MRI, participants completed the hallucinogen rating scale, a questionnaire that assesses the subject's effects, the subjective effects of the psychedelic substance. The results showed that DMT significantly increased the population receptive field of neurons in the primary visual cortex, particularly those that normally respond to the peripheral parts of the visual field. This increase suggests that DMT alters the way these neurons process visual information, which could account for the perceptual distortions such as peripheral blurring and tunnel vision. Importantly, the study found no significant differences in eye or hand movements between DMT sessions and the control sessions, indicating that the observed changes were likely due to the effects of DMT on the brain rather than external factors. This evidence for short-term effects of DMT in PRF population receptive fields may explain perceptual distortions induced by psychedelics, such as field blurring, tunnel vision, peripheral vision becoming blurred while central vision remaining sharp, and the enlargement of nearby visual space, particularly at the visual location surrounding the fovea, the study author concluded. The findings provide new insight into how DMT alters visual processing in the brain, offering a potential explanation for the intense and sometimes disorienting visual effects experienced by users. However, the researchers caution that the observed changes in the primary visual cortex are likely not the only neural alterations caused by DMT. The other regions of the brain, particularly those involved in high-level visual processing, may also play a role in complex visual phenomena induced by this psychedelic.
This study is an important step in understanding the neural mechanisms underlying the effects of DMT and other psychedelics. As research in this field continues to grow, these findings could have implications not only for our understanding of consciousness, but also for the development of therapeutic applications for psychedelics in mental health treatment. However, further research is needed to explore the broader effects of DMT on the brain and to investigate how these changes relate to the subjective experiences recorded by users. The paper, Rapid Effects of Tryptamine Psychedelics on Perceptual Distortions and Early Visual Corticopopulation Receptive Fields, was authored by Marla Lapo-Perez, Marta Taxeria, Carlos Soares, Gisela Lima, Patricia Rijo, Celia Cabral, and Miguel Castal Branco.
That was a mouthful.
That was a mouthful. That was a good article, though.
That was a great one. Trying to understand what the visuals is all about is actually kind of cool, right?
Right. Well, and I remember 20 years ago, us puppets tried it once or twice or thrice. And we remember the few minutes of not being able to move, the few minutes of colors, beautiful. I was lost in a land I've never seen before. I had Louis Armstrong going in the background, great music, horns blowing. It was a great place setting, but I've never been high like that before, and I've never really wanted to get that high ever again.
Yeah, some people say that. Kim, on the other hand, wants to do it again and again. She feels there's more to be explored with it.
All right. Speaking of people enjoying medication, psychedelics, and the realm in the past 30, 40 years, we have this great article from FoxNews.com where it says, Cheers stars Ted Danson, Woody Harrelson, once ditched work to do an extraordinary amount of mushrooms. Ted Danson, Woody Harrelson, and more Cheers stars played hooky, while some took psychedelics. And this is written by Stephanie Yeon.
Yeah, so this is a great article because I grew up watching this show. Cheers was one of my favorites, and this really makes some sense now. The Cheers stars confess they once skipped work to partake in psychedelics, which Danson said were supplied by Harrelson. The cast shared that while the show was still on the air, John Rasenberger, who played Cliff Clavin, bought a boat called the Boston Whaler, and he was anxious to show it off. So the cast cooked up this little getaway. I remember we all met at his boat, Woody and I, and Woody and I, by then, we were already stoned. We got on the phone and at a payphone, oh wow, that's old school, and called into the show saying, I'm not feeling good, I can't come in, and then handed the phone to the next person. Danson explained on their Where Everybody Knows Your Name podcast. It was clear that we were playing hooky. Somebody said, yeah, I'm sick. I got peer pressured. George Wendell, who played Norm Peterson on the hit series, added all of his co-stars as his co-stars all laughed. Danson continued to say that co-star Kelsey Grammer was asleep the entire time on the boat since he had been up all night playing cards. Woody turns to me and goes, have you ever tried mushrooms? I go, no, I haven't. He said, well, this is going to be a good time. We have nothing to do. We'll be on a boat, Danson shared. We hadn't had breakfast, so I was fairly hungry and ate. I thought an extraordinary amount of mushrooms, and then I'm thinking, this is all right.
After some cast members ate the magic mushrooms, Danson, who portrayed Sam Malone in Cheers, explained in their trip took a turn for the worse. While the group flew halfway to California, Santa Catalina Island, Danson admitted he freaked out and felt the impact of leftover waves from a hurricane in Mexico. Oh gosh. People not on mushrooms would be seasick pretty much, Danson said. But I sat there getting more and more freaked out. And whatever it is, you get stoned or whatever it is on mushrooms. And I look at you, Woody, and you're stressed out on a bunk. And I think he's so used to this and he's just not cooling it and relaxing. I am packing, making, Danson said. I'm having trouble breathing. Feel like I was dying. Good place actor went on to say Went calmed him down during his bad trip, and he was their lifesaver. Went, 75, shared he did not take any mushrooms, but was seasick due to the rough ocean waves. Danson called Harrelson looking like a skeleton. Harrelson said Danson looked like a hologram of himself.
Hilarious. Although Danson declared it was the worst 4 hours of his life, he admits he would take magic mushrooms again. That's hilarious. Cheers aired 275 episodes over its 11-season run on NBC from 1982 to 1993. The beloved show took home 28 Emmy Awards and with a total of 179 nominations. That's cool.
That is, and nowadays it's lucky to see 7 seasons. So I mean, that's
yeah, that was an epic show. I still watch reruns of that from time to time. Just a cool show.
Woody Harrelson was one of my actors that I want to get all messed up with and do a bunch of herb and psychedelics with.
Absolutely. I think that would be a really wicked time.
I know he took a hiatus for a while on cannabis. But our next article comes from Olympia, and this is king5.com. Olympia City Council effectively decriminalized some psychedelics. The resolution does not allow for the commercial manufacturing or sale of such plants or fungi. And this is author Tim Robertson.
Yeah, so the Olympia City Council unanimously approved a resolution to effectively decriminalize plant-based hallucinogens such as psilocybin mushrooms. The resolution, discussed during the regular August 13th meeting, would make enforcement low priority of police, with no city funds or resources being used for investigation, prosecution, or the arrest of people possessing or using the psychedelics. The resolution does not allow for the commercial manufacturing or sale of such plants or fungi. Under current law, people who knowingly possess a controlled substance or use a controlled substance in public face a gross misdemeanor. A first-time conviction can lead to a sentence of up to 180 days in jail or $1,000 fine. 2 or more convictions can mean up to a year in jail and or $1,000 fine. Someone found to be manufacturing or possessing with the intent to deliver can face 5 years in prison and or a $10,000 fine. Wow.
Wow. The resolution does not allow people to drive under the influence, of course not. Prohibit the possession or distribution in schools. Authorize commercial manufacturing or sales. Permit conduct that puts public safety at risk or causes a public nuisance. Or prohibit or discourage the investigation, arrest, or prosecution of the aforementioned crimes. Public safety at risk and causes the public nuisance. It could be interpreted quite differently. In a memorandum form, Police Chief Rich Allen to City Manager J. Bernie Allen notes that the resolution does not prohibit police officers from addressing public safety due to the limitations on what is allowed. The resolution focuses on mental health and jurisdiction to decriminalize psychedelics while pointing the U.S. Food and Drug Administration held sanctioned trials that show positive results that demonstrate the safety and efficacy of psilocybin-assisted therapy. According to the police department, in the last 5 years, no arrests or refers to the prosecutors were made solely for the possession of psilocybin. There were 5 arrests where psilocybin was processed, but not in this case. Wow. You want to read this for us?
Yeah. 2019, narcotic possession arrest, MDMA, Adderall, and mushrooms. 2020, subject arrested for warrant, located heroin, methamphetamines, and mushrooms while searching the subject. 2021, narcotics possession arrest for Xanax and mushrooms. 2024, narcotic possession arrest, fentanyl, methamphetamines, and mushrooms. And 2024, DUI arrest, mushrooms were found while searching the subject. It is unknown if the mushrooms added to the impairment. The subject registered over the legal limit for alcohol during the breathalyzer test, so no further testing was conducted. Prior to the resolution's approval, Mayor Dante Payne reiterated this, calling the resolution more of a formality.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Isn't that something, eh?
That is something, and we're just moving right along today. I mean, that's we're already up until the medication time.
I know, that's crazy. So it's time to pay some bills. Stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors, and then we will return with more articles Bufo has chosen, making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network. It would have been better if I would have found the commercial right away. Oh, here it is.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyendinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Hold it in, feel it in your wrist.
Smoke Signals, Tyendinaga.
Check us out in Tyendinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyendinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Tune in daily to NOK Network's diverse podcasting lineup. Ganja News Update, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Tara Simpson and Ron McNabb. Waking Up with the Waniac, Tuesdays at noon Eastern with Wayne Cruz from sunny California. Grow 420, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern with Ron McNabb. Psychedelic Reporters, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Hobbies Puppets and Tara Simpson. Peace, News and Views, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Sir Stevo and Kim Cooper. Thursdays we have Open Your Eye with Kim Cooper and Tara Simpson, 8 p.m. Eastern. Followed by Thursday Night Vibes at 9:15 p.m. Eastern with Master and Mama Rochi. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh airs 7 nights a week with our rotating joint hosts nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in to all the podcasting on NOK Network. Are you frantically pounding away on your keyboard these days to discuss your views, share your passions, teach a skill, or share a craft to the masses on social media? Podcasting is a bright light that can help you reach a diverse audience. And NOK Network can help. Even if you have no experience, NOK Network will work with you to develop your content to air on our diverse network to reach a wide audience, allowing us all to grow together. Podcasts are aired on multiple platforms simultaneously, across social media and streaming sites live through our network. Contact us and let's chat about how we can help you develop your podcast and join the NOK team. Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year. Movie nights. Spotlight on entertainment. And live on location event coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Rumble. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com. Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at NOKNetwork.com.
Now we get back to the show.
And we're back from our medication session here live on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
And we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of psychedelic medicine. So let's get at it. Alrighty. I had it all up here. Oh, there it is. This next story comes from us from Anchorage, up there on the corner, and no thing.
Yeah, I got to hit that one twice.
Okay, all right. Now that's good news. Anchorage to host Alaska's, and this is from Anchorage Daily News. Anchorage to host Alaska's first major conference on psychedelic medicine by Zachariah Hughes. Man, this is cool.
This is cool. So Alaska is set to see its first major conference on psychedelic medicine next week. Practitioners, researchers, and policy experts working in the field will convene for the 2-day event, which organizers say hit capacity and has been moved to a larger venue to accommodate more attendees. Interest in psychedelics has exploded in recent years with popular books and documentaries on the subject, as well as a robust lobbying and startup communities or companies pushing the topic into public consciousness. There has been bipartisan support in Congress for fast-tracking the approval process for psychedelic-assisted therapies to help address a wide range of mental health issues, from depression to post-traumatic stress to substance use. It's really surprising how far we've come in 10 years, said Regina Randall, one of the organizers of upcoming Arctic Visions Conference, set to take place August 23rd and 24th. Randall is also founder of the Alaska Entheogenic Awareness Council, a group that is seeking to inform the public about the therapeutic and health benefits of responsibly using mind-altering plant medicine, and is one of the conference's sponsors.
The country as a whole, Randall said, is in the midst of a psychedelics renaissance. People are just more receptive to using these substances therapeutically, said Randall, who was first exposed to psychedelics during a trip to Peru in 2007. I had no idea that things would move this fast. Psychedelic-assisted therapy is a broad and fuzzy defined field. It involves research on a wide range of substances, including MDMA, psilocybin, ketamine, ayahuasca, ibogaine, and DMT, among others. Arctic Vision bills itself as a psychedelic conference with lectures and workshops led by some of the foremost experts on the topic, from indigenous healing practices to a veterans panel to a discussion of a future legal framework for the substances in Alaska. It is the first time the state has hosted an event at this scale on the topic. Right now, psychedelics are illegal, said Randall. While there's interest in potent legalization and decriminalization policies, she said any such efforts is years away. We're starting at ground level, zero. Everything needs to be built, Randall said. This year in Juneau, lawmakers passed a bill that can establish a task force to look at potential implementation frameworks for psychedelic-assisted therapy. The measure still needs to be signed by the governor, according to their Democratic State Senator Forrest Dunbar, one of the bill's sponsors. Wow.
That's cool. A decision this month made by the Federal Food and Drug Administration not to approve MDMA's assisted therapy for post-traumatic stress treatment has dampened some of the momentum around the psychedelic therapies. But Dunbar said it's also given Alaska additional time to make a deliberate approach. Because of the FDA's actions, we have a little more time now for the task force to determine what Alaska's response should be if it does happen, Dunbar said. In the meantime, Randall said the Arctic Visuals Conference intends to provide information and resources to people with interest in this field. The conference is just an educational event. It's tailored for people who are curious about psychedelics and want to learn a little bit more. As of Monday, Randall said there were just 3 tickets left for the event, which takes place on the University of Alaska Anchorage campus. That is very cool.
That is cool, and it's the fact that that's touching Alaska, another state in the United States, is really freaking awesome. I like seeing more states in the United States here. I like to feel that the more we get that, more it's going to be kind of like cannabis. Other countries are going to be like, hey, the U.S. is doing this now, and use it. I mean, we kind of did that with Canada.
Right, absolutely. I also like the fact that they planned this event and actually had to move it to a bigger venue. That shows that there is huge interest. If you have to like replan your event because so many more people want to come, that speaks volumes for what's happening in the world in general.
And that's a small state, small, rural, like, so you're talking filling up quick. It means a lot if you fill up in Alaska.
Yeah, I'd really like to see how many people came from other states just to attend the conference, or even from out of country.
Well, it said a senator was in there too, wasn't it?
I can't remember, but I do believe that there is some political people attending that, obviously, because they're lobbying for decriminalization, right?
Yeah. Our next article, speaking of that, and this is just another state doing something. This is KOB.com, and this is written by Griffin Rushton. Advocates, researchers work to develop frameworks for psychedelic-assisted therapy. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Wow.
That's cool. There's a new psychedelic revolution sweeping the United States, and it has nothing to do with getting high. New research is coming out every year showing certain hallucinogenic drugs can help treat serious substance use and mental health disorders. Now there's a growing movement to make those therapeutic treatments easier to access in New Mexico. We're not talking about decriminalization or even legalizing psychedelic drugs for everyday New Mexicans to use whenever they want. There are some groups pushing for that, but the movement we're talking about wants to open the door for controlled psychedelic assisted therapies. It's a relatively new field of research, and there's still a lot of unknowns. Advocates say that the evidence we do have is enough to show these treatments could be a game changer for New Mexicans. A lot of times you'll hear people say that they're using a psychedelic medicine a few times is the equivalent of years of psychotherapy. The medicine they might be taking otherwise, said Jeffrey Holland, a board member of the New Mexico Psychedelic Science Society. For psychotherapy advocates, Melissa C. DeBaca, Holland, magic mushrooms, MDMA, and ketamine are the key to therapeutic revolution.
Ooh, it's been over a couple of decades that we've seen any really profound innovations as far as psychiatry. And we have suffered for a very long time in our state as New Mexicans with systematic trauma, the drug abuse that we want. Their nonprofit, the New Mexico Psychedelic Science Society, is working to establish a framework for psychedelic assisted therapies in New Mexico. They want to follow Colorado's lead, and it's a conversation that they gain momentum in the roundhouse. But they know psychedelics are still a touchy subject for a lot of New Mexicans. These are very powerful substances, and we also want to be very clear about that, and so it's important to have data outreach for sure about that. Some of the data is coming from the University of New Mexico researchers like Dr. Larry Lehman. These are not panaceas. These are not going to resolve all the trauma and depression in the world, says Lehman. But with a guided therapeutic coach, he says psychedelics can form new connections in the brain, allowing patients to finally treat old wounds. MDMA is a good example. If you use MDMA, you find that you're able to process trauma that normally is not bearable. It's like it gets triggered. People go into a panic attack and they can process trauma and that. Wow.
Yeah. So Lehman is currently studying how certain psychedelic drugs impact patients suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, postpartum depression, and opioid addiction. A previous UNM study already showed psychedelics can significantly impact alcoholism. We're trying to address some of the most serious health and mental health problems in the country that are having significant effects on us, said Lehman. He'll be the first to tell you more research is needed, and it's coming. Psychotherapy advocates say that'll be crucial for convincing state lawmakers and New Mexicans to get on board. They also say this isn't a race to the finish line. It's very important that we do this right. We're going to make sure we collect the data and that it's going to be helpful for our people, said Tabaka. The New Mexico Psychedelic Science Society is planning to bring a new bill to the Roundhouse in January, aimed at building the regulatory framework for psychedelic-assisted therapies. Just allowing the treatments is one hurdle, but they say accessibility and affordability will also be major factors that need to be thoroughly discussed. And I agree with that. Once it starts going mainstream and all these centers open, that raises the overhead, which raises the cost of the process. And not everyone has access to that kind of money.
No. We're part of all of previous shows that we talked about. It's like a couple $1,000s a month.
Right. And not everyone has that to spend. Or they'd probably be going to some other therapist that costs money. You know what I mean?
And our next article covers it. Our next article is from Colorado, headtopics.com, and it's just Colorado solidifies regulations for psychedelic mushrooms growers, manufacturers, and therapy centers. And this is written by, it
doesn't say. We don't know. It comes from, it looks like maybe the Denver Post is involved in this one.
Yeah, Denver Post. There it is. I see it.
Yeah. So anyone seeking to become part of Colorado's psychedelic industry by growing mushrooms, operating a healing center, or manufacturing psilocybin edibles now has guidance on how to do so legally. Capsuled psilocybin mushrooms at a private home in Westminster, Colorado's newly adopted laws around psychedelic-assisted therapy allow manufacturers to create capsules, tinctures, and other edibles for use in regulated healing centers. Anyone seeking to become part of Colorado's psychedelic industry by growing mushrooms, operating a therapy center, or manufacturing edibles now has guidance on how to legally do so. It's worth noting that these products, along with dried mushrooms, will not be for sale in a retail store or dispensary. They will only be supplied to adults ages 21 and up at a healing center during an administration session, the formal name for a guided trip. Even though manufactured mushroom products will not be sold to the public in retail stores, regulators have set serving size limits for various products to help standardize them. As far as labeling, the state requires a warning label about potential interactions with other drugs and prohibits companies from using cartoon characters and colors that may be appealing to children. Additionally, companies may not use the words candy or candies or iconic images of indigenous cultures. If anyone experiences a serious or life-threatening incident that requires medical intervention, or if someone dies, healing centers must report that to the state within 2 business days. They also must keep track and keep record of all adverse health events. While Colorado's framework does not permit retail stores, regulators put in place strict guidelines for tracking psilocybin mushrooms and product inventories to ensure they stay within the legal system. Wow, that was a short but sweet one.
It was, but I mean, they're getting it done. They came up with a form now. I'm sure it's a little more in depth. We might be able to get that as weeks come on and as they start developing the system. But I mean, Colorado has been putting their head around how are they going to serve these psychedelics to the community safely and whatnot for the past what is it, 6 months, a year that they've been able to do it.
Right. It's new, but they've been doing it for a bit. I think it's really cool now, though, that edibles have been included as a consumption method in this industry. So that's something that, a company who's maybe, say, already producing cannabis edibles could then get into producing psychedelic edibles for these treatment centers. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat.
Right. So psychedelic studies are therapeutic practice. This is basically a knowledge triptych.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. I mean, now you don't just have to eat dried mushrooms. Some people don't like that taste. They can get a capsule. That's cool. But some people want to indulge. And sometimes, those chocolate edibles with the cacao help to produce a better effect with psilocybin as well, right?
Yeah.
So having those options at the treatment centers are pretty cool. It sucks they won't have retail stores per se, like they would a cannabis dispensary, but maybe that'll come in the future once all this research is done.
Right. Well, all we got is time, really much. I mean, it's they're trying to work a system out. It's just not going to happen overnight.
Right. And it was the same with cannabis here. And I'm sure even there, right? I mean, nothing happens overnight when you're talking government regulators and politicians. It can take sometimes decades.
Right. And our state, I mean, we don't see much taxes or anything. They just treat it as medical and they just kind of put it away. And now it's medical and you don't talk about it as much. It's just
right.
Decriminalized all throughout the state. And
yeah, so it's going to take time, but it's coming, and I like that it's happening and it's moving forward instead of backwards, right?
Right, I love forward. And speaking about moving forward, thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, and for tuning in to our podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as our social media site.
That's right. We certainly hope you've enjoyed your update today on mainstream coverage of psychedelic medicines advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint host, Tara Simpson, and to Bufo Alverius for choosing the stories, and to you, our listeners, for joining each week on Tuesday. Let's hear from Dead Ringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way out. Bye!
Bye.
Looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of